Riff Raff, an Australian rock musical that launched the well-known rock band Men at Work into the limelight in 1979, was recently revised and restaged at the Melbourne University's Union Theatre under the auspices of the Playbox Theatre Company. Sporting a new name, Riff Raff the Remix, it featured additional songs, updated storyline and exciting new talent, including 2 Year 12 students. For these students to be involved in a professional performance was a great educational experience, which no school play could ever replace. But more about that later. The rock musical was written by director Jan McDonald, actor Phil Sumner and composer Greg Snedden. From the upbeat studios of KAOS FM and the corridors of Buckley Park High School to the dance floor of Spinner's nightclub, this rollicking musical touches on problems, frustrations and hopes of 4 teenagers living in the 1980s. There is Julie, the rebel, headstrong and streetwise, the product of a single-parent household. Razi the dag, naive but desperate to escape the ties of a Turkish upbringing. Mick, the class clown, quick-witted, energetic, the boy most likely to succeed.
You want a job? Join the army!
And there's Dukes, the tough, aggressive teenager, more interested in bikes than the regimentation of school. Trevor Lund spoke to writer-director Jan McDonald and actor-writer Phil Sumner about the rock musical and about working with a young cast, some of whom have had little professional experience on stage.
Although the very fundamental threads within the play don't change, and I don't think really have changed in the 9 years, about going from innocence to experience, that's something very common for everyone. The detail of fads of what's in fashion, what music is being listened to, what hairdos are the go, or what ambitions people have at the particular time. It's that kind of detail that's important.
What do you think has been the hardest part of the process of 2 Year 12 students becoming part of a professional company?
I think, to be completely honest, as a director, it's very important not to play a school teacher. And I think because they're used to working in that model where someone tells them what to do and what to learn, often we've had to talk about that, saying, look, I'm not a school teacher, I'm a director. I want to be inspired by you and you by me. It's a joint partnership we have, not one of what I think is a more traditional school teacher pupil role.
Phil, you have the advantage of some more mature years on your shoulders than some of your cast members. How is that sat? Has there been conflict, support, problems, successes in that sort of range?
It's been a lot of fun. No, there have been no problems in that regard. At least I don't think so. They haven't expressed any, and I certainly haven't had any problems with them in terms of the so-called generation. I don't think there has been much of a generation gap, actually. I've thoroughly enjoyed working with them. Yeah, I have. I was just about to say that the noise level sometimes in the dressing room is something that perhaps I would always like to cope with, but there you go.
Something that we laugh about is that what happens in the dressing room is so energised, and sometimes then what happens on the stage is a little lacking, although I wouldn't say that as a general rule, but often the comment has been, for goodness sake, do that on the stage.
Chomping at the bit. What about the interview? First up. Terrific, can't they wait?
Anthony DeFazio, a Year 12 student from St Joseph's College, North Melbourne, and Tanya Clerforn from Essendon High School spoke to Trevor about their professional involvement with the rock musical Riff Raff, the Remix.
It started like when I went for the audition, I got the part, and I had to juggle up between whether I was going to actually do it and juggle school, or just do this, or to do one or the other anyway. I come to talking to the school, St Joseph's College, and they're really supportive about it, and they're happy that if anyone's going into a new thing, they're more than willing to help them out. And then there was my parents that were fantastic about it all, and because my father wanted to be an actor but was held back, he's all the way, and he still is, to support me, so got the support, I suppose.
Worked out really well.
Yeah.
What about the process for you, Tanya? Has it been similar to that?
Yeah, very similar. I had a bit of a problem with school at the start, but my drama teacher talked to the school for me and, you know, organised it all so I could have work to do still while I'm doing this, but not as much.
Neither of you have explained how you've been able to balance school and this.
Well, I've got exams coming up in a couple of weeks, and I've really got to hit the books. For the work that I've missed out on through second term, I will catch up over the 2-week school holidays, and the exams, well, I suppose I'll just have to remember from last year and try to sponge off the teachers as much as I can.
So effectively, you've been working here full time for the last 8 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
The major difference that I found between school plays and this play was the work. There's no slacking off at all. This fast work with, like in a school play, you know, you work for half an hour, then everyone off for a break. You know, they say, oh, 5-minute break and 20 minutes, and people are still wandering back. But with this, it's just full on, go without stopping. And like near the end of the 4 weeks rehearsal, you just think, oh, I can't take any more. It's very, very hard and demanding.
Do you think that after the first couple of performances?
I felt it was worth it. Of course, it was worth it, all the hard work. But yeah, just demanding.
I think the professionalism involved in the play is great compared to school plays. The main reason, I would say, being the rehearsals. School plays are always, the rehearsals are just never done. I mean, well, they're done, but too much mucking about and my mate and this and that, and it's sort of too much mucking around. This, it's not fascist by all, you know, like do this, do that. It was fun doing it, but at the same time we learnt a lot and got the task done.
Years ago, when you were younger, what inspired you to develop this play? I say develop rather than write. I'm just guessing that happened that way.
Well, Phil and I were both working at a company called West Theatre Company in the western region of Melbourne, and we felt it was important to do something for the teenage age group in that community, and that rock music was the way of getting through to that age group. And from there we went back to a high school, didn't we, to find out what it was like?
We went to Buckley Park High School and we had a meeting with all of Year 10, and then from that pursued to a couple of sessions a week with a smaller group who were extracted or who volunteered from that larger group. And over the following 2 months, was it 2 months? Mm. Yeah, we eventually evolved the basic script with them providing dialogue, ideas. We workshopped their ideas, you know, and eventually we came up with the script.
Long, involved process, a lot of work. What was the motivation behind wanting to do it in the first place? Maybe it would have been easier to get a grant, go off to Hawaii and write the epic play without involving anyone else.
We just didn't think of that.
You can use the idea.
I think it's been an important part of a lot of the work that we've done since that time as well, that it's very important to involve the community for which the show is for, and then the potential audience. And that's for two reasons. It's not simply because isn't that nice for a community to get involved in theatre. I think also it's a way making sure that what you write and what you put on is really something that's going to be important to that audience. And I think you can see that, you know, from today's show, that for that age group, it really does excite them and it really does interest them what is happening in the show. And that's largely because we were very familiar with that age group from the kids that contributed to the show.
And there's nowhere left to go, no matter who gets hurt. The street name never changes. It's a one-way street, a one-way town. You'll know it if you've been there. And the signpost just says cheap streets, no way out. What's the use of trying when the game's rigged from the start and the players all get smashed at night and don't know who they are? And the sails run out the billboards, all scream their wares at you, offering you the world with all its gleaming promises. And when you make a move and grab them, then the sky falls in on you, and you find yourself on cheap streets, 'cause the world knows who you are. Do you feel like you're on cheap streets and there's nowhere left to go? No matter who gets hurt, the street name never changes. What's the use of trying when the game's rigged from the start and the players all get smashed at night and don't know who they are? And the sails run around the billboards, all scream their wares at you, offering you the world with all its gleaming promises. Make a move and grab them, and the sky falls in on you, and you find yourself on cheap streets. The world knows who you are.
I guess this is a question that's often asked of actors who manage to survive in terms of work, whether or not you would encourage aspiring actors to go into the profession. And it's always an extremely difficult question to answer, mainly because it's a very hard life. I mean, just surviving, sometimes it can be the most important thing, because it's not a well-paid job at all. Stage work, anyway. I mean, sometimes if you're really lucky, you can get into television and film, but it's a very romanticised and over-glamorised life, and it is not that easy. So it's always difficult to sort of give encouragement. But I mean, who am I to say don't do it? I mean, if you want to do it, go ahead and try at least, but be aware of the fact that it won't be easy under any circumstances.
Or that you often need something to back you up while you are doing that in between jobs you need to get out and earn money in other ways, and a lot of people survive that way, I think.
What are the most important couple of points that you've learned through this experience that you're going to take back and apply to your next school play?
Well, actually, it's funny you asked that, because we've got a school play coming up in third term or fourth term. I play football, so I'm going to have to juggle playing football and the school play at the same time. However, I've already spoken to the drama teacher at our school, Mr. McNamara, and we're looking forward to doing it together. We're going to try and make this a really good thing, and hopefully we can have a bit of professionalism involved, you know, not a lot of mucking around.
Tanya, what sort of lessons are you going to take back to school from here?
The discipline, you can't, I just can't even describe I've never been under so much pressure in my life, you know. This is amazing. You've got to discipline yourself to mentally and physically. You've got to be fit and healthy. If you don't eat right, or if you don't sleep right, you know, you've got to have everything in a pattern, and if you lose it, then it's really hard to get back into it again.